3 minutes ago, everything changed. King Charles has made his final, irreversible move against Prince Harry and Meghan Markle. The palace is in shock. Insiders are scrambling, and a centuries-old royal code may have just been broken. What did Charles do? And why now? The answer may redefine the monarchy forever. The breaking royal decision no one expected. It was November 26, 2025, when a quiet yet seismic shift rippled through the British monarchy. Word had leaked through a trusted insider. King Charles III had reached a personal and royal tipping point over his youngest son, Prince Harry. The cause wasn't just one interview or complaint, it was the culmination of years of friction. But one act, in particular, triggered what sources described as the last straw. In Harry's memoir, Spare, released in January 2023, the prince made scathing remarks about Queen Camilla, referring to her as someone who had sacrificed him on her personal PR altar. For King Charles, that crossed a line not even time could erase. Behind palace walls, the response was immediate, but not loud. There were no public statements, no sudden announcements. Instead, there was silence, stunned, deliberate, and cold. According to insiders quoted in The Express, Charles viewed the memoir's attack on Camilla as the ultimate act of disrespect. While royal watchers had long expected tension, this move confirmed a deeper truth. Harry wasn't just a distant son. He was now, in the king's eyes, a liability to the crown. In court language, the king's inner circle described it as a matter of institutional loyalty. Charles wasn't just protecting his wife, he was protecting the monarchy. What made this moment more striking was its contrast to Charles's past behavior. Throughout the 2010s, he had shown remarkable restraint, even warmth, toward Harry and Meghan, despite their departure in 2020. He had extended olive branches, included them in coronation plans, and ensured their titles remained intact. But now, a line had been crossed. Harry was well aware how Camilla would be a red line for his father, said one source, and he crossed it with flagrant disregard anyway. It wasn't just a personal offense, it was an institutional rupture, a break that even a monarch couldn't ignore. The impact of this decision radiated through the palace like shockwaves. Staff reportedly scrambled to interpret the king's next steps. Would there be a formal demotion? A public reprimand? Or worse, a permanent severing of royal ties? While those outcomes remain speculative, what's certain is this: King Charles made a final internal move, and it changed the tone inside Buckingham Palace. This wasn't just another family feud. It was a monarch, only 2 years into his reign, drawing a hard line in a centuries-old institution. The monarchy, it seemed, had decided. Loyalty wasn't optional, and forgiveness had limits. While the headlines focused on Charles's explosive reaction, the deeper story is years in the making. This wasn't the result of a single quote or court case. It was a slow-burning saga stretching across memoirs, legal fights, and a transatlantic fallout. To understand why Charles made this final move, we must go back through the wreckage of a once close father-son relationship. Because before the lines were crossed, they were fraying, quietly, publicly, and irreversibly. The broken relationship. The cracks between King Charles III and Prince Harry didn't appear overnight. According to court insiders and royal correspondents, the communication between the two broke down long before Charles made his final move. Sources speaking to People magazine in April 2025 revealed that Harry's calls and letters to his father had gone unanswered for months. even during periods of public concern over the king's health. This silence was more than a diplomatic oversight. It was a deeply personal statement. For Harry, who had once been regarded as the spare with a bond beyond royal titles, the lack of response signaled something darker. Exile not just from duty but from family. The tension had been building since January 2020, when Harry and Meghan Markle announced they were stepping back from royal duties. Their move, dubbed Megxit by the press, blindsided palace aides and sent shockwaves across the Commonwealth. Yet the real turning point came with the publication of Harry's memoir, Spare, in 2023, where he accused his stepmother, Queen Camilla, of manipulating her image at his expense. Charles, who had worked for decades to rehabilitate Camilla's public perception since the 1990s, reportedly saw this as an unforgivable betrayal. According to palace insiders, Camilla had been his emotional anchor during the pressures of transition after Queen Elizabeth II's death in September 2022. To see her attacked in print by his own son was, as one aide put it, a wound that kept reopening. But the emotional damage went beyond books and interviews. The ongoing legal battle over Harry's UK security arrangements, stripped after the couple's royal exit, revealed deeper fractures. In April 2025, Harry told People that he believed the removal of his official protection was calculated, designed to pressure him into either returning to royal life or staying silent abroad. His appeal, which was still pending at the Royal Courts of Justice at the time, wasn't just about safety. It was about principle. He argued that the threat to his family, including Prince Archie, 5, and Princess Lilibet, 3, had increased due to the royal family's stance. And for Charles, this legal aggression, framed as exposing the palace's reach, was seen as airing dirty laundry to the world. As both men dug into their positions, what had once been a public disagreement solidified into something colder: strategic distance. "There's no rapprochement," said one palace source. "They are distant." Those two words, spoken in spring 2025, echoed through royal coverage like a verdict. With Charles reportedly consulting fewer family members on Sussex-related matters and Harry remaining firm on his critique of royal politics, the possibility of healing seemed remote. And so, when Charles made his final move, it wasn't a reaction. It was the culmination of years of quiet decline. What had been a royal relationship was now a chasm, wide and likely irreversible. This chasm between father and son didn't just open from emotional strain. It widened through the courts. With security decisions, public funding debates, and personal fears clashing with royal expectations, the fight moved from palace halls into legal chambers. As Harry continued his battle for UK protection, the question wasn't just whether he'd win, it was how deeply the case would cut through the remaining ties. Because in this saga, even courtroom rulings had become acts of family warfare. The security saga that fueled the rift. The story of Prince Harry's security battle reveals not only legal complexities, but the emotional battlefield between him and the monarchy. In December 2025, the UK government agreed to reassess the threat level against Prince Harry following a private letter he sent to Home Secretary Shabana Mahmood. This marked the first security review since 2020, a surprising move considering Harry had already lost a major legal appeal in May 2025. The Duke had challenged the Ravek-Isaki Committee, arguing their decision to offer only bespoke protection for his UK visits lacked proper risk analysis. His claim? The palace and government had orchestrated an establishment stitch-up. And with that phrase, Harry re-entered the public arena not just as a prince, but as a man at war with both crown and country. At the center of this saga lies a haunting irony. Harry believes the monarchy failed to protect the very family it exiled. In court, his lawyers cited documented death threats, multiple jail sentences for UK residents plotting to harm him, and his children's rising public profiles. With Archie now 6 and Lilibet 4, the stakes had grown. Yet, under current rules, Harry must give 30 days' notice before any visit to Britain, an arrangement he argued was unsafe and impractical. The government insisted their decision was based on proportionate risk, yet the prince remained adamant. Security shouldn't be a favor, it should be a guarantee. Especially, he claimed, when his role in royal service had placed a target on his back. The reaction from Buckingham Palace was telling, not of anger, but detachment. No official comment followed Harry's partial legal win or the new security review. Instead, palace aides leaked whispers of irritation. According to The Guardian, Charles had not spoken to Harry about the issue directly. The silence signaled more than tension. It highlighted the monarch's strategy: separation by omission. Royal protocol dictates the palace never interferes with legal cases, but the absence of personal outreach, especially after such a public and personal battle, reinforced the narrative of alienation. To Harry, the silence was betrayal. To Charles, perhaps, it was self-preservation. This prolonged security war did more than expose procedural gaps. It hardened both sides. For the king, Harry's legal crusade appeared as a public rebuke of royal authority. For Harry, the risk to his family's safety became a symbol of everything he had fled. Each side now stood locked in a paradox. The institution demanded deference, while Harry demanded dignity. And as the government's review quietly unfolds, the question remains whether any ruling can close the wounds this fight has opened, or whether it will only deepen the silence between father and son. But inside the palace, it wasn't just Harry's court filings that stirred anxiety. It was the optics. The television appearances, the Netflix specials, the memoirs, all painted a picture of rebellion that, in the royal playbook, borders on sacrilege. For Charles and his advisors, the legal challenge was merely the latest symptom of a much larger virus: Harry and Meghan's refusal to play by the rules. And now, those rules were becoming the palace's final defense. The palace's view. The monarchy is built not just on bloodlines, but on silence, image, and tradition. In December 2025, Prince Harry appeared on The Late Show with Stephen Colbert, joking that Donald Trump was America's king. The segment aired just 3 months after Trump's official visit to the UK, where he was hosted by King Charles III at Buckingham Palace. What might have seemed like casual satire to American audiences was, in the royal world, viewed as a violation of diplomatic protocol. Royal expert Phil Dampier called it dangerous meddling, noting that by stepping into foreign politics, Harry had further shredded what remained of royal decorum. Inside Buckingham Palace, the response was reportedly one of horror. Sources say both King Charles and Prince William were absolutely dismayed by the televised remarks. William, in particular, has emerged as a strict defender of royal neutrality. The Colbert segment, replayed across British media, did more than damage Harry's standing. It was seen as mocking the very institution he once represented. "He doesn't care anymore," said one courtier, referring to Harry's repeated breaches of protocol. By aligning with partisan voices, even in jest, Harry had made himself an unpredictable presence. And unpredictability, in royal terms, is unacceptable. What stands out is how deliberately the palace has chosen to distance itself. While no official rebuke was issued, royal advisors reportedly discussed revoking Harry's remaining royal titles, likening his situation to that of Prince Andrew, who lost his HRH status in 2022. after public scandal. Unlike Andrew, however, Harry's offenses are ideological. He hasn't broken the law, but he's broken the rules. Rules that were upheld across reigns, from George VI during World War II to Queen Elizabeth II, who famously said, "We are not a political family." In that context, Harry's media strategy isn't just controversial, it's treasonous to the royal script. And so, the royal response remains what it has been since 2020. Protocol over family. No matter the emotional history, Charles's role as monarch now supersedes his role as father. The firm, as insiders call the royal institution, cannot bend to emotional appeals when its legitimacy depends on tradition. From leaked letters to legal cases, every move Harry makes is now measured against palace policy, not personal affection. The cold truth is that for Buckingham Palace, image comes first, emotion last. And the moment Harry joked on international television, he may have made that royal hierarchy permanent. But while the palace tightens its silence, the world speaks loudly. Public opinion is fracturing, media voices clash, and royal experts are beginning to ask the deeper question: what does this escalating feud mean for the monarchy itself? As King Charles draws lines and Harry crosses them, a global audience watches the unraveling of a royal family once built on unity. The reaction outside the palace walls is far from silent, and it's reshaping how the monarchy is viewed around the world. The world reacts. As King Charles tightened the royal circle, the media opened the floodgates. From London to Los Angeles, analysts, tabloids, and primetime pundits dissected the royal fallout like a geopolitical crisis. In early December 2025, media coverage of Harry's legal win and Charles's apparent rejection flooded the front pages. Commentators on Sky News compared it to the Wallace-Simpson abdication crisis of 1936, not in scale, but in symbolism. Once again, a member of the royal family had placed personal values above the crown, and the monarchy responded with silence sharp as steel. The divide in public opinion was equally dramatic. In the UK, polls conducted by YouGov showed 58% of respondents supported the King's decision to keep Harry at arm's length, citing concerns over royal integrity. Meanwhile, in the United States, Morning Consult reported a 40% drop in favorability for Charles among under 35 voters following Harry's televised remarks. Media analysts called this the Netflix generation divide, those who sympathize with Harry and Meghan's human story versus those loyal to royal tradition. One former BBC correspondent put it bluntly, "This is the monarchy's greatest test in a post-Elizabeth world." Meanwhile, royal experts warned that Charles's silence may not be sustainable. Jenny Bond, a longtime royal analyst, said, "The longer they ignore Harry, the louder his voice becomes." Others cautioned that the monarchy risked appearing cold and detached in an age where empathy sells better than stoicism. The Sussexes' emotional storytelling, through Oprah, Netflix, and Spare, had effectively rebranded them as global advocates, not just disgruntled royals. And in a media war, image can matter more than lineage. Yet the palace has stayed the course. No statements, no clarifications, only the occasional background leak. For Buckingham Palace, the strategy appears to be endurance. Wait out the storm, let the public tire. But with every new headline, every viral clip, the royal brand is tested anew. Because, in the court of public opinion, even a king must manage his optics. And while the press speculates, Harry and Meghan have not stayed quiet. Their response to the palace's distancing hasn't come in the form of direct attacks, but through appearances, brand deals, and subtle messages to the public. As the monarchy leans on silence, the Sussexes lean on visibility, and each public act, each staged moment, raises the same question. Are they playing defense or executing a strategy? Harry and Meghan's response. If King Charles's final move stunned the palace, it also seemed to activate a new phase in the Sussexes' public campaign. In the days following his security case review, Prince Harry gave an exclusive interview to a California-based podcast where he said, "Sometimes silence is betrayal." The quote, pulled by major outlets in December 2025, was widely interpreted as a jab at his father. But it wasn't just words. Meghan Markle, seen attending a gala in New York days later, gave a speech on courage against institutions, a line that many believed referenced the royal family. These public moments are part of a pattern. Since 2021, Harry and Meghan have used platforms from Oprah to Spotify, Netflix to TED-style events to shape their narrative. Their supporters view this as transparency. Critics call it performance. But one thing is clear: every appearance is strategic. For example, their partnership with BetterUp, a mental wellness company, continues to position Harry as a modern leader in emotional health, a stark contrast to the palace's cold detachment. This branding effort matters because the Sussexes aren't just ex-royals, they are a global brand. Yet behind the scenes, not everything is smooth. Their Netflix contract, once valued at $100 million, has come under scrutiny after the lukewarm reception of Heart of Invictus. Spotify ended its podcast deal in 2023, citing creative differences. And despite public appearances, royal insiders believe the couple is increasingly isolated. One court source said, "They've built a fortress, but it's very lonely inside." Meghan's recent decision to relaunch her lifestyle blog, The Tig, may signal a pivot. Less politics, more personal influence. And while the Sussexes craft their brand overseas, back in London, an even more symbolic question begins to surface. Will they lose their titles? Stripped or not, the issue has become a battleground of legacy and perception. Because to remove a title is to declare someone no longer royal, and that decision carries weight not just within the palace, but across centuries of tradition. The titles and legacy question. The question of whether Prince Harry and Meghan Markle will lose their titles has loomed since their royal exit in January 2020. But now, in late 2025, it's back with force. Some royal insiders argue that King Charles should follow the precedent set with Prince Andrew in 2022, who lost his HRH status following scandal. But others, notably Prince William, believe doing so would backfire. According to a Cosmopolitan report in December 2025, William told aides that the Sussex brand is already worthless, and that removing titles would only make us look petty. This statement speaks volumes. Rather than act vindictively, William seems to be playing the long game, letting time devalue what conflict cannot erase. A royal insider, quoted by Page 6, added, "William sees no strategic threat. Stripping the title would only stir more headlines." In essence, the royal strategy may now be one of quiet delegitimization. Avoid conflict, let relevance fade. This is a modern tactic, far removed from the crown's historically swift punishments. Yet the titles debate reveals a deeper anxiety. What future awaits the next generation? As the king and his heirs look ahead, the focus shifts to the youngest members of the Sussex family. Because behind every title is a child, and in the realm of monarchy, children aren't just heirs. They're symbols, and what happens to them could define the House of Windsor's path for decades. The children and the future of succession. In royal history, lineage is everything, and in 2025, the presence or absence of Prince Archie, 6, and Princess Lilibet, 4, in the monarchy's narrative raises urgent questions. Technically, they are now royal highnesses, entitled to protection and ceremonial roles. But in practice, they live 5,000 miles away in Montecito, California, far removed from court traditions, crown duties, or even royal schooling. Their absence is both physical and symbolic. A generation born of royalty, raised in exile. The security battle that consumed Harry's legal efforts was partly rooted in concern for his children's safety. In his court testimony, he cited threats made against his family, particularly during their UK visit in June 2023 for the Queen's Platinum Jubilee. Without government protection, he argued, his children were exposed targets. But beyond security lies a broader concern: identity. Are Archie and Lilibet growing up as Sussexes or as private American citizens? The palace's silence on this matter has only deepened the ambiguity. For now, the king has taken no formal steps to redefine their status. But royal biographers suggest this ambiguity may be intentional. By doing nothing, Charles keeps all options open, one said. Yet time moves on, and as Archie and Lilibet grow older, their roles, chosen or imposed, will shape the future of a monarchy still healing from its recent past. Buckingham Palace's official messaging strategy. When Prince Harry won a partial legal victory on December 8, 2025, the palace responded, just not in the way many expected. There was no direct mention of Harry, no formal congratulation or criticism. Instead, the official royal Instagram account announced Queen Camilla's visit to the set of At Disney Plus UK's Rivals, a TV drama based on the work of the late Dame Jilly Cooper, who passed in October 2025 at age 88. The timing was no coincidence. Analysts saw the move as a masterclass in redirection. While headlines buzzed about Harry's return and security review, the palace pivoted public focus toward culture, service, and continuity. This approach isn't new. Since the Megxit fallout in 2020, Buckingham Palace has refined a strategy built on symbolism. When personal crises strike, the royal family doesn't engage. They reposition. Instead of countering Harry's claims with direct statements, they amplify other royals. William and Kate's charity work, Princess Anne's diplomacy, and now Camilla's cultural engagements. The goal isn't denial, it's dilution. Drown controversy in ceremonial normalcy. It's a tactic dating back to the days of Queen Elizabeth II, who once told aides, "Never complain, never explain." Yet beyond the press releases and royal Instagram posts lies a deeper question. What does all of this mean for the monarchy's future? As King Charles marks nearly 3 years on the throne, the institution he leads faces a world that's changing fast. The split with Harry and Meghan may not break the monarchy, but it could redefine it. And in the end, the true consequence of this royal rift may not lie in titles or lawsuits, but in the legacy left behind. What this means for the monarchy's future. The events of 2025 have left the monarchy at a crossroads. With the rift between King Charles and Prince Harry appearing permanent, many observers are beginning to ask, what future does this family and this institution face? On the surface, the royal engine continues to run smoothly. Prince William and Princess Catherine are preparing for a 2026 tour of Canada, while Charles continues his engagements as king. But behind the ceremony, insiders say, The loss of Harry represents more than a family feud. It's a potential generational fracture. Royal historian Dr. Judith Rowe described it as a slow bleed in credibility. Younger audiences, especially in Commonwealth nations like Australia, New Zealand, and Barbados, increasingly question the monarchy's relevance. Harry and Meghan's openness, emotional expression, and digital fluency appeal to a demographic that the palace has struggled to connect with. If that demographic continues to turn away, the House of Windsor may lose not just a son, but a future. Internally, palace officials insist that Charles's actions were necessary for institutional survival. They argue that the monarchy's strength lies in unity, not visibility. And in that context, Harry's independent branding posed a risk. But others, including former royal advisors, warn that exclusion can breed erosion. "If you close too many doors," one said, "you might wake up one day and find no one wants to knock." So where does it all go from here? Reconciliation remains unlikely. The king's silence has become a fortress. Harry's public profile is louder than ever. Meghan is expected to release a memoir in late 2026, and insiders suggest it will further distance her from the palace. Yet history has shown that the monarchy adapts, not always quickly, but often effectively. Whether this rupture leads to reinvention or decline may depend not on Charles or Harry, but on those who come after. Because the monarchy is more than a family. It is a story, and right now, that story is being rewritten in real time.